Hello and welcome. For GCSE Physics, you need to know what types of electric components, what types of components go into electric circuits. You should be able to interpret diagrams that contain those and name what those different components are. And you might also have to be able to build an electric circuit or draw an electric circuit in the exam based on a description that they give you. So you need to know what the components are and what the symbols are. There are some that are quite easy and familiar, some are less familiar, and we'll look at diagrams of those where possible. But to start us off with, nice and easy ones on the first page. So we have a cell and a battery. It's very important that you know the difference between the two. In everyday English, we say here's a battery. If you've got a game or something that requires power or requires electricity to work, you say, well, here's can I have a battery? And we refer to it as this thing here. But technically, in science, in physics, a cell is a single one of these things over here. A battery is when you have more than one cell, and that could be 2, 3, 4 or more, and we draw it like this in physics. So we have one of the cells over there, one over here, and we draw a dashed line in between. Sometimes they might draw all the individual cells, sometimes they might not, but either way, that's what a battery is and that's how you draw it. The other ones that you might look at are voltmeters, ammeters, and a lamp. Here I've got here a voltmeter. It has two possible things that you could say it measures. One, you could say it measures, let's use better color as well. One of the things you could say it measures is voltage. You could also say it measures potential difference. Doesn't matter which you use, but you can use either one of those two. Potential difference, sometimes abbreviated to PD. Okay, so voltmeter measures potential difference of voltage, and in volts. We've got an ammeter that measures current, electric current, and that's in amps. We have a lamp, and that's just a little bulb that lights up or doesn't, depending on what the circuit's doing. We have some more components over here. Very simple. This is a switch open, so in the open state, no current can flow, and when it's closed, current can flow through it. Okay, so these are some of the slightly simpler ones. Over on this page, we've got some that are perhaps less familiar. We've got a fixed resistor, a variable resistor, and a fuse over here. A resistor is something that can be put in a circuit that just lowers current. And if you've got a large resistor or a large value of resistor, it will lower the current a lot. If you've got a low value resistor, it will lower the current only slightly. And this idea of resistance is measured in a unit called ohms. Don't worry about too much about these extra little details here. We'll be doing more of it in future videos, but that's your fixed resistor right there. Sometimes you want a resistor that doesn't just have one fixed value, you can change it. So we have a variable resistor, and that's the symbol for it here. So same as the fixed resistor, except it's got this arrow. And to imagine what this might be, if you've got a dimmer switch at home, or you've seen a dimmer switch somewhere, that's what a variable resistor is used for. It has a variable resistor inside there. Here is a fuse. Again, it's like a resistor shape, but it's got a line going all the way through it, and you probably recognize a fuse as something like this. The other ones we've got is something called a thermistor, and this is really a heat sensor. And it's a type of resistor, and what it does is when there is a higher temperature, it allows more current to flow through it. Okay, and this can be used for automatic systems like a thermostat. And a thermostat is a device that measures the temperature, usually of a room, or something like that, and it will adjust the heating whether the room is warm or whether the room is cold. So it's an automatic system. It can be found in automatic systems for controlling rooms or things like that, sometimes incubators for babies in hospitals. Okay, so here at the bottom here we have a light dependent resistor, partly hidden there, and this is just a component that looks a bit like this. On the top of the surface here we have a material that will change its resistance depending on whether there's light or not. So this can actually be used to switch on circuits depending on whether there is light or whether there is not light. So for example, lights that turn on automatically when it gets dark. Okay, so that's the use of one of these. Now incidentally, light dependent resistor, the specification calls it an LDR, so you're more than welcome to use the term LDR, but it stands for light dependent resistor. The last couple are a light emitting diode and a diode. So a light emitting diode looks a little something like this. You might have seen it again in games or various electrical devices, but it can also be used to make efficient lighting. Light emitting diodes, put a bunch of them together, you can make lighting that uses only a little bit of electricity and creates a lot of light. Okay, and the symbol for that is as is shown over here, and we have just an ordinary diode down here, and a diode is something that allows current to flow only one way through a circuit. So it'll allow it to flow that way, but it won't allow it to flow that way. How can you tell? Well, if you look at the direction of the arrow, that's the direction the electricity can flow, or the current can flow, but it can't go in the opposite direction because it's got this barrier here, I suppose. Okay, the diode in reality might look a little something like that. It has a little silver strip on it, or a white strip, to show which way the current can flow. Okay, so those are the less familiar circuit components in a circuit. It might be worth just having a quick look at a circuit I made up and see if you can identify what the different parts are. So you might want to pause and write them down, and if you do, the answers are now. Here we have an ammeter measuring the current in the circuit. Here is a fixed resistor, which is lowering the current, an open switch, a couple of lamps, a volt meter measuring either voltage or potential difference, a thermistor, one of the trickier ones, which is like a heat sensor or temperature sensor, and what else have we got to do, and a cell over here. And I think that's just about everything. Okay, so that's a quick practice of those, and if you really want to go to town and see if you know all of them, here is a slide with all the components that you need to know. There are 14 of them, I hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14. Yes, there's 14 of them that you need to know, and it might be worth just pausing here and see if you can name all of these. I won't write them out, you can look back and see which ones are which, or you might want to go to the website www.my-gcsescience.com, and this page you'll find on the notes next to the title of this video. Okay, so a bit of a boring video really, but it's stuff that you need to know and remember, so maybe go over it a couple of times, get it in your brain, and hopefully you'll be able to remember it when you need it in the exam. Okay, so thanks for watching, and see you again soon.